So thank you. That was one wow, and others could be thinking, does it really gonna take my jobs? The short answer is no, but there's a lot of things going behind it, as Anand was just wrapping up, and I have a slide that I picked up from him as well, which I'm gonna show later. But yeah, in the era of AI, it's not about machines replacing human, it's about how do you augment and how do you use AI to help us deliver things a lot faster. So that's where we're gonna start. All right, quick show of hands again. How many of you heard about AI? Such a silly question, because I just showed. All right, now this question. How many of you have used AI? Like, I hope it's just ChatGPT one. Okay, if not ChatGPT, have you used other AI, like LLMs and all that? Okay, smart bunch of people. It's partly true, and this is what we are actually seeing in quite a few reports that have been captured by IDC. As you see, for text generation, code generation, it tops up most of what people has been using AI and LLMs for. But most importantly, as you see, this is a research that's conducted by Carnegie Mellon University, where they say how the future applications is going to be developed. As you see, the AI augmented systems built using conventional SDLC techniques, or more like, you should think of more like an e-commerce platform built with recommendations engine, but then when from a testing perspective, you test using traditional methods, like our exploratory testing, or be it automated testing using new tools. That's still traditional in my opinion. But then when you look at AI augmented systems built using AI augmented techniques, things are very different, where that's where you build systems using AI and also test using AI. But that's still humans doing it, right? So the jobs are still there, so don't worry. That's where you use tools like Copilot, Code Whisperers, and all these tools getting in there. So the landscape is evolving with AI playing a larger role in both how we build and operate software, so does the systems where how do we test as well. So thinking of two different ways on traditional versus AI. So in traditional, right, the computer can perform the task what it has been asked to do, nothing more. Whereas AI, the computer can perform the task that has been learned to do, right? How many of you agree to it? Only a few? Okay. We'll get in more of that. So machine learning, where it learns from the data, right? So that's where things gets interesting on the way we look at how traditional software development happens, and so does the testing should also be evolved, right? So when you look at traditional systems, it's all predefined by rules. It's like, 1 + 1 is going to be 2, and this is what you get a test. It's a simple unit test that we all, seen writing, and then on top of it, when the APIs and UI get built, you test all of this, right? And that's how things evolve. And the test strategy is going to be evaluation, whether it's right or wrong, or something more that you can add on top of it. But from a machine learning application perspective, it's all about probability and prediction. That's where things get tricky, right? So it's not about only right or wrong, but it's more about testing the accuracy, testing the biases, occurrences. A lot of those things comes into picture, where it makes testing a lot more interesting job for those who's looking into diving into more of that AI specific ones. Where because it's all non-deterministic outputs, and there's a whole new concept about testing non-deterministic outputs itself, and that's another topic I can talk for about hours, which anyway is not the focus of the talk. But let's talk about AI. So this is standard definition, so I'm going to skip it. Artificial intelligence, it's a piece of technology that helps us have a human-like thinking and helps us solve some problems. So this talk, I have split it into a part where most of you have seen AI, AI and used AI better, but this talk will also help you understand what AI is and understand what large language models is. And also when you go back and try what I'm suggesting you to do, I'm sure you can have the system up and running just like what I have, right? That will be the most interesting part. So with that view, a quick 101 about AI itself, right? So the taxonomy of AI, if you see, this is how it lies in. So the one that everyone knows when I mean AI is our ChatGPT. So what is ChatGPT and where does it really stand in the whole world of AI, right? So that's the view for you, right? So in this, one of the things that I wanted to talk about is narrow AI, and that's the part. So the whole of artificial intelligence is split into two. One is narrow AI, and other one is strong AI. So the one where we are using, which is using ChatGPT and all other language models, and we had folks from ANZ talking about different models. So this all comes under part of a narrow AI. But there's something called strong AI, which is where the humanoid robot, it's something that strong AI is a division within artificial intelligence, where it is designed or it is trying to learn things that human haven't seen at all. So that's where the difference goes into, right? So now in this, the focus is large language models, which is within large language models, there are a number of things, and ChatGPT is one of them. And if you're keen, okay, tell me, Manoj, what are different large language models? This is a quick snapshot for you. And you have Google, Gemini, pretty much all the big technology vendors have some of their own LLMs built, starting with OpenAI, Google Gemini, and Facebook has Meta. Meta has Llama models. A lot of this, helps in some way. So once you know how to use one model, it's pretty much the same, but they have their own ways of, perspectives and how the model should be built, and they have this. Now, what is multimodal model? So if you know the title of my talk, it's about not just using LLM, but also multimodal LLMs. So LLMs is mostly text, code, pretty much it's static, right? So multimodal LLMs are the ones that can give you or interact with the visual, oral, gestural, linguistic, and spatial elements as well, which means you can ask multimodal LLMs to generate a voice-over script. You all seen these reels in TikTok or Instagram, right? So it's all multimodal LLMs. So you can have gesture-based movements. Like for example, I'm not sure how many of you have seen, but you can wave your hands and some things like do like this and the click will happen. So all of this is possible using multimodal LLMs, and that's where things come from. And some of the examples that I have is going to be based on multimodal LLMs, which we'll see. So within LLMs, there are two things. One is general purpose and one is customized. So especially institutions like banks where they can't use general purpose LLMs, like the ones that ChatGPT, like for most of you raise hands, that's why I asked, does your managers or team know? Because you can't be feeding in your application or test URL to ChatGPT and ask them to give automation script. But whereas if your organization approves the use of large language model, which is AI in itself, and has its approved usage of, say, let's take, for example, ANZ again, they use Gemini, and there are other institutions where I know they have approved usage of Llama models. So you could use those models and train so that the data doesn't go. So right now I use ChatGPT, and the script I use and it works. So if you try any number of times, you'll get the same output, because once something gone into public ChatGPT, it goes into the main central repository where they use the data to train. But once you use your customized large language models within your network, the data doesn't go out, so that the public cannot be trained by your own data. So that's why having an LLM customized, focused within your environments will be the key there. More than IT, more than what we do at work, LLMs are also helping cancer, breast cancer, as you see. This is MIT, which has tons and tons of X-ray images of these two. You can see identified with high risk. That was developed before 4 years later. You can actually see which was developing breast cancer. So that's how AI is helping. So, I mean, if we talk about AI, taking our jobs, well, this is also AI, right? So that's how we think. So humans are using this technology to find things ahead and help cure and for betterment of the human living as well. Now, how does this, just a real life example, right? So the same case will be applied for our day-to-day life as well. On, say, requirement documentation is there. There's tons of requirement documentation. Help me focus on this feature release and how do I test these test cases or develop automation cases. So that's how you follow this process, where you define a task, what do you want to do with model to do, and then you ask the model, like which model you select. Like if you remember a couple of slides back, I showed you different models. So you choose one that works for you and your company, and then you collect the data, and you train the model, and you evaluate the model, and then finally you have that working end-to-end for you. So that's how machine learning process as a thing works. And how LLM thinks, when you said traditional, it says, it exactly does what you said. But LLMs, it learns from it, right? Now, how did the learning itself work? Because that's when the curiosity, peaks within us in learning how the LLMs work. A quick check, quick show of hands as well. How many of you have read this book? Only a few, okay. So then it's good because I'm giving you new information, but also you should go and take a look at this. So this book by Daniel Kahneman says, thinking fast and slow. Essentially, if you look at the main crux of the book is nothing but saying human has two sets of brains. One is system 1 thinking and system 2 thinking. System 1 thinking is quite instinctive. Like, if I ask you to focus for me now, for example, if I ask you a question on, can someone help me answer what is 5 plus 5? Sorry? I can't hear you still. Okay. How much is 20 plus 20? And 6 plus 4? Okay, thank you. Now, how much is 55 plus 44? 100. Okay. Okay, how much is 36 plus 47 minus 2? There we go, right? So that's essentially system 2, laughing at us. So system 1 is instinctive, that gives you immediate action, like what ChatGPT does. So if you're wondering how things work, basically all these LLMs are system 1 thinking. It tries to impress us, right? So that's where things get interesting. So you get immediate results, and sometimes, we aspire the LLMs to be in system 2 thinking, and that's where, the things are evolving. But that's a nutshell about the book. So if this is interesting, it's a free marketing for the book, so you could go and check it out. But that gives you an understanding of how LLMs works, right? Because that's system 1 and system 2 thinking. Now, while all this happens, hallucinations as well happens within AI. So that's where the human in the loop context is really, really essential, because this code, whatever it gave, luckily it worked in the first case. That's because I've already tried, so it's a honest confession. When I first tried, it didn't work. So obviously I had to tune it a bit, and it now worked. So first time when I tried, it was giving an XPath that really didn't work. So then I had to say, hey, use this, and then it'll work. And that's how you go. So you need that human in the loop for any AI, LLM-based systems that you're going to work with, right? Now, let's get into the crux of how cool it will be have this LLM runnings locally. So you might have heard of, you need so many GPUs to run this LLMs, or you need AWS instances and all of this to run, right? Not necessarily. So that's where Facebook Meta, where they have something called Ollama, which, so it's an interesting name. So I speak, and I was just talking to one of my friends, and I was like, okay, you remember Dalai Lama? And you will remember the name Ollama, so right? So it helps you to run large language models locally, and it has multimodal as well as standard LLMs as well, where like Mistral, Lava, Llama, all these are available. So if you're wondering what this Ollama is, it is like what Docker is to software development and testing. I'm sure most of you would have used Docker, so I don't want to ask a quick show of hands, but that's how you could relate it in the world of AI ML, so that it'll help you, get up and running fast. Now, within Ollama models, we're going to take a look at these quick 2 of them. One is Llama, one is Lava, which is large language models and vision assistance. So that's the second one, is the the oral, linguistic, spatial, gesture, and all that. And the first one is a standard, like you could use it for any code generation, text generation, and all that. But you could use the second one for different stuff. Now, using that is very simple. So once you go to, so all you have to do is just go to Ollama website and download. You have a downloadable. This is like a takeaway exercise, so please do it and ping me on LinkedIn, and I will be very keen to hear from you on how successful you are. And now, all you have to do is just open the terminal and run Ollama, run Llama 3 once you have installed, and then you can use this example code, or don't need to go there at all. It's just a terminal. So just type in whatever you want. Like, for example, why is the sky blue? It's a random question. Or maybe just give me chicken came first or egg came first, whatever it is, and try to see what AI response comes from. Now, asking LLM to help write an automated test script. So that's a scenario, and that's what I was aspiring to show demo. But then we tried it up front, and so that this demo is already covered, and I sort of started to give a good stage setting on how LLMs work and these things to do. Now, also the similar picture, I want to use Lava model. So think of it, LLAMA is more for text and code generation. LLAVA is more for, the V is for the visual things. So I'm going to quickly show from my, okay, let me run through a few things and then I'll slow. Now, all right, so this is what happens. So I had it all animated so that I'll ask you questions interactively. As you saw, I was just downloading it from Google Slides to PowerPoint. The animation is gone. So I'll probably leave it there. So, okay, pretend you didn't read this. Okay, imagine you have an image, right? So you have a sample picture, and you're sending it to LLM. And what all things that you can ask LLM to do? Just random thoughts, if you could. Analyze the page, okay. It's a very broad term, but what do you want to analyze? Any difference, okay. Source of the image, okay. When you're not sure where it comes from, yeah. So these days we have so many forwarded messages, yeah. Sorry? Resolution of the image, okay, yeah. Yeah, okay. Multiple things. Sorry? Yeah, okay. So thank you for that. That's where it is, right? So now imagine if you have an image and you have the ability to send that image to large language model and ask that image to, ask the LLM to review that image and give you an accessibility audit. How cool that would be. Or use that image to send it to LLM and ask LLM to give back, say, maybe an SEO audit report. So pretty much anything that you can do with an image in your testing process, you could do this with LLM. So that's where the creative mindset of human-in-loop content comes into picture, where piggybacking on what Anand said, are we there yet? Well, I feel like we are there. It's maybe not yet there completely because it's not fully autonomous yet, but we'll definitely somewhere yet. That's what I want to say. Now, let's quickly jump in and see what happens if we ask LLMs to use an image to create this. Now, this is extended, if I believe. Okay, cool. Okay, this is a lot better, probably. Yeah. So if you see, when you have this installed, this is how you can see. So this means Ollama is running in my machine. And when I type in Ollama run lava, visible now? Yeah, okay, so when I run this, yeah, it's running right now. And it asks me to send a message. So probably I'll say, help me analyze this image and give me, say, accessibility audit. And all I have to just give is an image. So probably I'll see if I have something. Okay, here you go. That's it. So the image has been added. So the LLM is trying to run, and it's automatically giving you suggestions, right? Again, this may not be the complete accessibility audit out. So if you're any accessibility testers here, don't yell at me. This is one of the use cases. Of course, we need all your expertise to check if it's relevant or not. But of course, it's helping you getting there from 0 to whatever percentage that you can think of. So there you go. That's pretty much it from a demo perspective that I had. How cool was it? It's good? Yeah. So now let's take it up a notch ahead. Let's put this in our pipeline. This is not scalable. This is still at a standalone. So those of you who interacted with me before, I'm a Selenium fan because I'm one of the contributors. I've been using it and helping develop that tool for a very long time. So now, imagine, I'm sure most of you take screenshot during your automation. Yes? How many of you are really seeing it? Let's be honest. Do we really go and check that folder? Only it fails. But even if it fails, do you really look at it or just look at a console log? There you go, right? So now how do we make use of something that we are doing it for some purpose, but more meaningfully, right? So imagine there's a Selenium case, or put any tool in your favorite tool like Playwright or Cypress or whatever. There is an automation framework, there is a user flow that you've written, and we're taking a screenshot for some reason, whether you want to take it for the sake of taking it or maybe for a failure case. Imagine a failure case because something has happened, it's taken a screenshot. So we could ask LLM to, okay, analyze this screenshot and tell me what has gone wrong. Or maybe more than just analyzing it, tell me some accessibility audits as well. So that's what this script does. I'm not going to go through fully, but in a nutshell, driver.get goes to the page. I'm taking a screenshot for the sake of taking it because I want to do an analysis. So I have a function called perform alley analysis. And then the function, nothing is all here. Like I have a big prompt asking, as an accessibility expert, you are presented with a screenshot, blah, 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 and all that. I'm asking LLM to use WCAG 2.2 rules. For those of you who know accessibility, you can understand, but for those of you who don't know, it's nothing but a success criteria to evaluate. And I'm giving a map here with some payload with Llama 3 and then, and basically a screenshot. So let's quickly run this. And let's cross fingers. So it's taken it's gone to the page. And it's a broken page, right? So it's by DQ Labs. DQ are the company which provides an Axe plugin for us to use accessibility. So they have this demo page. So this page, of course, absolutely has some accessibility audit issues. And I've just taken this screenshot of it while this is still running. It depends on the network. Hopefully this finishes. And what's the name that I've given? So page name and then reports from the talk.html. So now that you know I'm not bluffing, this is just created on the fly. So open in a browser, let's give it Chrome. There you go. So it has a screenshot. It also presents things in a key value format where it gives you an accessibility evaluation with all of these details, right? And a few more things that you can do. I'm just quickly gonna comment this up. Oops. Okay. And uncomment this. Now, again, let's take full throttle. I'm a big fan of riding a bike. I used to ride Kawasaki Ninja, and I use that analogy quite often. So let's throttle up a bit. And we had an image. We asked LLM to give an accessibility audit. Now it has some audit results. So now why can't we ask LLM back, okay, you've given me some audit, now help me write a test to test that. How cool that would be. Yeah, let's try and do that. That's the prompt that I have here. As an automation expert, you're presented with a screenshot of the page. Your task is to meticulously evaluate and provide a Selenium-based Java test for whatever you just saw. We'll run this with the prompt. And I hope Cam gives me a few extra minutes because of the tech issues, Cam. I hope this is interesting, guys, yeah? Okay, yeah, there you go. So it's still running. Okay, this time I didn't change the report name, so it's going to replace. Let's wait for a few seconds. And as I said, this is the multimodal, right? So I'm just using the vision part of it. So imagine you could use much more from a textual perspective, pretty much different things that you can think of. Okay, so this is done. There we go. We have the report. So you have things like this. So now I'm going to copy paste and asking ChatGPT again. I'm being lazy. So, hey, help me format this text below. So these are cool stuff that you can use to ChatGPT, right? So it's so what that essentially report, as you saw, I was just copy pasting it. So it was actually creating a screen reader testing test, keyboard navigation test, semantic HTML test. It's pretty much there. It was there in the report. I'm just using ChatGPT to format it so that you can see how the test comes. And there you go. It already has those tests in there. So that's LLM for you. How cool was that? I was excited. And I literally tried this, the second demo, when I was preparing the slides and making sure everything works this afternoon. And like this, you could have these thoughts flowing in as and when your day-to-day works and get creative with it and see, because there's already so much data trained in it. And of course, I'm using public. So if you're allowed to use within your test, and there's nothing more like it, right? Right, so now, let's use it as an extended display. Okay. So, yeah, all good. Should I announce this, Cam?
We have ice cream with afternoon tea, so I just had to say we can't go too much longer.
Should I ask, do you need ice creams or more LLM talk? Okay, I don't want to risk it. I myself will opt for ice cream, so I understand. All right, so it's a quick summary of what we did. So we had an application under test. We had an automation script, capture a screenshot. We're sending that to a model, and the model analyzes the screenshot, and it responds, and there we go, we have a report, right? So that's pretty much what I had as a PPT version of it, but you saw a real version of it. So I'm just skipping it, so putting it all together. That's animation. Now again, taking it up notch from LLMs, retrieval augmented generation. This is another cool stuff happening within the LLM AI ecosystem. I don't know if you have heard about it, probably most of you. It's called RAG and short. So what I just showed is one aspect of it, right? Possibly there could be a number of scenarios that you think, and what if the concept of RAG is nothing but instead of sending the screenshot directly to a standard LLM, let's send it to a RAG-enabled systems, which means it not only sees the screenshot and responds, but also it searches the relevant data within your ecosystem and gives you more, which means it has more context from your historical data. So, right, so when you need more historical, like for example, you had a new, let's take new API planning where you're doing a feature toggle release from previous features, and you need the historical context from previous releases because you're dependent on something that is being built on. So in those cases, you actually need those contexts to build more data. There we go. That's pretty much it. So it's sort of search, for example, it's WCAG 2.2. When if you use RAG-enabled systems, it automatically searches for in the future. If WCAG 3 comes in, it automatically searches that and also does the audit for you and gives you more information. Now, we are only scratching the surface, and there's a lot of things to do with AI, and also, where we take this approach is completely up to us. There's a number of things that can be done with continuous testing in AI, as you see here. Including performance profiling, tests, and all of this can be done. Now, Manoj, give me some libraries. This is cool. Yeah, here you go. So if you wanted to do a more scalable version within your, IDE, more nutty stuff, so you can use these libraries. With this LangChain being, LangChain is to LLMs what Docker is to containers. And LangChain is to LLM what Selenium is for browser automation. It's more like a protocol that trains. So now imagine a way where you have a user story or you have a manual test case. Now how cool it would be if you send those details to LLMs and ask to create an automatic script. Right? Because when you have that, now it's like, okay, given this URL, it was a registration, it was straightforward. But now in your real day-to-day life, every user story is different. Every feature is different. Now, how do you ask AI LLM to create that for you? So there you go. That's an architecture diagram. This is something that I've been working on. Our team at Cognizant has been working on as well, where you saw LangChain in the previous slide. That is something available here as well, where also it can be scribed for different test management tools, including Jira, ALLMs, where you can start with that user stories and feed it into the NLP engine. So all of this individual components like NLP engines, app scanner and object controller is where it scans your application and creates DOM elements for you, the XPath, CSS and all of that for you. And then we're all storing it in a vector DB so that we could retrieve it, and followed by a prompt engineering, which is very, very important, because if you're not giving that prompt correctly, it cannot perform, because it'll help us do what we ask for. And then the crux of it, the main heart of this architecture is the LLM. So you could use any LLMs like Azure OpenAI or Llama or Gemini, and then orchestrate within. So LangChain is more like putting all these individual components into one and then help us run. So unfortunately, I cannot bring a demo of this, but this is something that's doable, and we have seen it working and within Cognizant, and the whole rapid ecosystem is completely evolving, right? And what you saw is something interesting, and I'm sure many of you are working from different organizations, and if you're already engaged Cognizant with you could reach out to me, or you could reach out to my colleague Saurabh sitting here. Saurabh, quick show of hands. Yeah. So we'll be happy to show you how this really works, and you can see how this can be built within your environment so that it becomes available for your environment, not using something public. Well, the landscape is evolving with different sort of tools, so let's try to stay vigilant there and try to learn different things that comes up in there. And again, this is just an extra piece of information. Like, these are some logos that you would have seen, but if you want to put that in an AI landscape, well, this is where it helps you to see where really AI can help you. Like, for example, we saw AWS Azure is pretty much straightforward. OpenAI, Hugging Face are all the intelligence or the foundation layers, so the Llama models. So Hugging Face has a lot of repository. So Hugging Face is like GitHub for code repositories, but Hugging Face is for the whole of LLMs. So Hugging Face has a lot of those LLM models, so you can you can download any models from there. Now, along with all of these cool things, yes, some challenges comes into picture as well. There's some biases, some ethical consideration needs to be there. So I'm sure this is something that you will carefully consider before evaluating using which model itself, but also it comes to the, the way of testing as well. So that's where really the human in the loop context is really, really essential. Now, good news, I was just preparing. So 1 hour ago, Robert, our CEO of Cognizant Australia, just released that as a PR release that Cognizant has a Neuro AI, which is all of this, what we saw, is just a sneak peek. All of this demo that I had is something that I've started as a prototype, as a side project in my free time, because my day work demands something else, but I miss something that I love doing, which is the coding and being relevant in the ecosystem. So, but yeah, taking it up a notch, available as a complete platform and software. You could reach out to us. Cognizant's Neuro AI will be helpful there. Well, that's my parting thought. AI is there, and it's not going to take away our job. So, but it's definitely going to take away the jobs who's not embracing AI. So, just going to leave it there. I'm happy to take up any questions. Sorry? I couldn't get you.
Can you repeat that part where?
Oh yeah, okay. So I was just telling, don't worry about AI replacing humans' job. It will not replace any human's job, but it will replace your jobs if you're not adopting or learning about AI. So that's where I'll leave it. For those of you who don't know about me, I'm Manoj Kumar. I work at Cognizant Australia as a practice lead for Q&A. And I'm also a distinguished speaker by American Associating Computing Society, and a free open source software fan. I used to contribute, I'm still contributing to Selenium for about 15 years now, and Appium is a project that I contribute to. And apart from that, I have my own projects like Kubernetes Selenium, O11Y, which is observability Selenium, and all of this. And yeah, on top of it, I'm a DevOps and accessibility advocate as well. With that, thank you so much. I would love to connect with you and reach out to me for any questions or any feedback. Up to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Manoj.
Question.